Oh yeah, the Hublander. The Hublander. The Hublander. The Hublander. Were there ever disagreements over who got to press the button, pull the string, light the fuse, or was there a system in place? There was no system, but there was never a disagreement about who got to pull the trigger, pull the string, press the button. And the reason is for the most part, we didn't care. Every now and then we cared. And it would be like only one of us cared. That's how it worked for like 14 years. Every now and then one of us would care and we'd go, hey, do you mind if I push the button? And the other one would go, absolutely no problem. And it never happened that we were both like, oh, I really wanted to. I remember specifically we're doing one up in Ione at Pit 232, the body of water where all of our water explosions happen. And Jamie was like, I want to push the button while facing away from the explosion like an action hero. And yeah, that was like, absolutely, you should totally do that. 100%, that should be the thing you do. There's a funny way, I wrote this thing down. There's a really specific way in which Jamie's and my working relationship was like a marriage, like a long-term marriage. In a long-term marriage, you pick your battles. You pick and choose what you're interested in arguing about. And what I find after having been married for 20 years is that a lot of the activation goes away when you think about it, and you park a lot of that stuff. And Jamie and I did that too. It certainly was always fun to push the button, but the real answer is if somebody has more enthusiasm, they're going to be better at doing that on camera. That'll make better show. If someone's, we understood that as axiomatic, that interest trumps, because that's always going to make a better episode. And so, like I said, we never both went nuts for the same thing at the same time, which weirdly is like one of my favorite pieces of marriage advice from Jerry Seinfeld. Not someone I think of as someone I always go to for marriage advice, but in one of his stand-up specials, he says to someone's question, do you have any marriage advice? He says, yes, try not to go nuts at the same time. In every marriage, you're both gonna go crazy occasionally. It's just his advice is, don't do it at the same time and it'll be easier. And he's 100% right. There's so many good questions. I've got to start marking what I've answered. Phone book episode, that's done. Continuity. Here's, Jamie, what was the number one lesson that you learned from Jamie that has served you best ever since? Number one, I guarantee you that if you asked Jamie that question, I don't think you would have an answer. What is the number one thing you learned from Adam? I'll bet he wouldn't have an answer. That's just me being a little bit petty. What I learned from Jamie, I learned very early on in his employ. And I was a young model maker for him, and I had gotten to know, I'd been with the shop through one shop move, so I had sort of helped build up the shop as it moved across the street down in the Bayview here. And I started being able to answer calls from clients and to service clients. And so this call came in from a person who needed a robot arm for a photo shoot. They didn't need it to be a robot arm, they needed to just look like a robot arm. And I said, hey, Jamie, we've got this call. And he said, look, we're all busy. Do you want to just take it, come up with the charge and like find out what they want, and then you can bid it. And so I did. I bid this arm and I drew it out and I faxed them the drawings and they accepted it. And no, they didn't accept it. That was the problem. There was a second iteration of the robot arm, and then there was a third iteration. And we hadn't even gotten to a bid price yet because the parameters and the goalposts kept changing. And this went back and forth for like a week and a half. And also the client wasn't responding in any kind of timely fashion. Like it would be several hours each time. They would send an immediate response to whatever email we sent and then take several hours to get back to us. And after like a week of that, Jamie said, make the client go away. Make this job go away. Tell them that we got too busy. Tell them we can't take this work. They have not even awarded it. And I said, really? Why are we doing that? And he said, however the client is going in is how they're going to be all the way through. And I know that I've told this story on the channel before. It so bears repeating, especially if you're a young maker. You've got to steel yourself for this. However they are going in, they are not going to suddenly get nice if they weren't nice in the bidding process. And if working for a nice client is a value to you, then you have some choices to make. If they ride you like bitches through the bidding process, they're going to ride you even worse through the actual construction process. If they can't make a call on a drawing, they're going to have a much tougher time making a call on a final product. And sometimes you got to take those gigs. Sometimes you got to go in knowing that that's what you're going to suffer through to take a gig. In fact, that specific job, I told them we couldn't take it. Then I said, you should give Josh Corral a call over at Acme Scenery, and they did. And then Josh called me a couple weeks later and said, hey, Dumbo, you should have given me a call and told me that you turned down that job because the client was a pain in the ass. He was like, that's common courtesy. Sorry, I feel like I'm yelling. It is common courtesy, and I would do that today. I would tell someone this client might be a little bit troublesome. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, if the client, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I need to get more elaborate than that. It is a great rule to understand about people. They show you who they are. They're going to stay that way. They're not going to, almost no one ever gets easier to work with after they've been difficult to work with. All right, let's see what's been happening on the actual internets here. Darth Pirate wants to know if I kept the sword forge that I procured for the curved rifle barrel myth. Yes, I did keep that sword forge. In fact, I have two because we bought a couple more for the shooting shrimp through a ball of flame to see if you can get it to cook on the other side. You can't. David Martin says, have you ever messed up and worn the wrong shirt or pants continuity-wise to a shoot? Also, when you are shooting videos in the cave, do you keep an extra shirt of the proper logo for continuity, or are you not that precious about it? Norm is laughing behind the camera. Yeah, no, we are not precious about that, and we never have been, even on MythBusters. Funnily enough, when we started filming the show in 2002, it's like June 2002, Paul Henry, our cameraman, shows up with his wife, Jude, a couple of other producers, Carolyn Odson, and Paul says to me, we're setting up for the first shot. I don't even remember what the first story we were doing was, but we're setting up for the first shot. I've got a microphone on for the first time, and Paul looks away from the eyepiece and says, hey, if you could try and roughly wear the same thing every day, that would be great. And that was the only thing anyone ever told us about being on television. That's the sum total of instruction that we got. And I took that to heart. Roughly the same thing every day. Not the same thing every day, roughly the same thing every day. I can totally do that. And I did. I wore, like, somebody recently in one of the tested videos posted in the comments, does Adam have like 200 black t-shirts? And Kristen responded as tested, like, you have no idea. And you have no idea. I've actually retired whole classes of t-shirts. The ones I wore for most of MythBusters were American Apparel Express shirts, which I got them super cheap from a screen printer. And just wore the sprockets off those shirts. For Savage Builds, it was more of I think Frame was the name of the maker of the shirts that I was wearing. And now it's all the Teespring tested, Cotton Bureau, all of our tested shirts. But no, we do not pay attention to continuity at all. One of the regular phrases on MythBusters was, leave it for the train spotters. Yeah.
Thank you for watching that video. Are you as sick of the tosses to membership as I am? Good, because here's a brand new one that I recorded today, and it's nice and short. There are 3 tiers to tested membership, and they all offer awesome stuff. Find out about it by clicking the join link below. We'll see you there.